Impossibly Glamorous Studios presents Tea with Charles, starring Charles St. Anthony.
Welcome to another episode of the Tea with Charles podcast. This is Charles St. Anthony, and joining me in the Hollywood studio today is a man of many talents. He's a comedian, a writer, a cartoonist. This week, we welcome the one and only Trenton Hudson.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Charles. Pleasure to be here today.
Thank you for joining me today, Trenton. It's a pleasure to have you. I know you create animated content for Riot Comedy and Comedy Central. When everyone's a kid, everyone says they want to make video games or make cartoons, and you actually did it, which is kind of incredible. Tell me a little bit about your background. Did you go to art school, or how did you study animation?
It's kind of crazy how I got into it. So I have four brothers. I'm the middle child, no girls in our family. And it was just something that was kind of always in the back of our minds. Like, we talked about it growing up because we were such huge fans of cartoons. Like, I grew up, I remember being a little tiny kid, and it was like family tradition to watch The Simpsons get on the couch. And then South Park came out when I was like 7 years old, and I've been hooked ever since. And so South Park is a huge influence for me. I love Family Guy, American Dad, all those other shows too. I love Rick and Morty and Solar Opposites. Those are some of my favorite newer shows. But I didn't go to art school. I didn't go to animation school. I didn't go to school to learn how to write TV shows. I didn't do any of that. I was living in San Diego in 2013, and I was working as a financial advisor. And I worked for like a huge company, and great company, had great people around me, great management team above me. And I hated it. Couldn't stand it. It just wasn't for me. Like, it's a great job. For some people, and I know a lot of people who do it and love it, but for me, it just wasn't my cup of tea. So one day that year, I just called my brother and I was like, hey, you want to make a cartoon? He's like, man, I would love to. I've been wanting to make a cartoon. And that was literally how we started. We just decided we wanted to. And at that moment, we said, okay, what do we need to do to make a cartoon? What animation software do we need? So we started doing a little research on that. You know, found one that would be good for us, that is kind of like the industry standard in a lot of different studios. And we taught ourselves how to animate. It was literally just, we got this software and they offer a ton of tutorials online. And there's like 100 hours of tutorials, maybe more. And we just watched them and figured it out and just kind of learned as we went. And as soon as we got good enough to start producing content, we did. And even though like what we started making at the beginning was honestly like god awful, but you know, it got just time went by of us making cartoons nonstop, and now you know what we make is TV quality.
So what's the name of the software you started out with?
It's called Toon Boom Animate Pro.
Toon Boom Animate Pro.
Yes.
And is that still the software you use to this day?
Yeah. Except I'll say, so it's slightly different because when we started making cartoons, you know, I was honestly, it wasn't just about making cartoons because it was a lifelong dream. It was a few things. So I was kind of, you know, at a point where I was contemplating a lot of things with my life and my career, and I didn't like the work I was doing as a financial advisor. So I'm kind of...
It sounds soul-sucking.
It was for me. It was crushing me every day. And I didn't do it very long. I only made it a year and I was out. So we're sitting here kind of thinking, or I'm thinking whenever I'm contemplating whether I want to make cartoons or do comedy or with this and that, I always kind of had this draw to entertainment. And I thought about, you know, well, could we make a TV show to put on the internet? And it's like, okay, well, we don't have those kind of resources. We don't, it takes space, high quality cameras, and that stuff adds up like real fast. And it, you know, you're looking at, to even produce like some janky stuff for YouTube, if you want it to be pretty decent, you're still going to spend a lot of money, even just in renting space.
Right.
And so it was like, okay, that's not really it. And so I'm kind of thinking, okay, well, what can I do we can break in with this? And cartoons was kind of the answer. And it just kind of fell in alignment with, you know, who we were as people and what we really wanted to do. So we literally, you know, we got a Best Buy credit card. Like, we didn't really have the resources to make anything happen. We got a Best Buy credit card, maxed it out buying computers, and the computer software was originally bootleg. We stole it. We pirated it from the internet. And, you know, it was like kind of glitchy and sometimes things would go wrong with it. But, you know, that was how we got our start. And then, you know, we're doing stuff on YouTube for a long time. Not a long time, actually. Like, we got really lucky. We were doing stuff on YouTube for like 6 months. it felt like a long time because of the whole learning curve of learning the animation. Like that was a couple years before we were really, doing the stuff on YouTube. But, we were on YouTube 6 months, and then, we had a meeting with Comedy Central, and then a month after that, we had a deal with them, and that deal paid for the real software that, after we were done, with the YouTube stuff, we get a decent check from Comedy Central to make this show for them, and then that kind of really catapulted us into like the next level of development that for our personal.
So the Comedy Central coins you're talking about is from The Lounge, right?
Correct. Yeah. So me and my brothers, we made this show called The Lounge. We were doing episodes on YouTube. There's like 2 seasons on there. And it's funny because you go back and watch the very first episode, and it's like, man, this is unwatchable. The animation's bad. The writing's bad. The jokes are bad. But, it just got better and better the more it goes. And there's like a point where you can really see like, okay, now these guys are they're starting to figure out the animation, and the drawings are better, and the animation's cleaner, and the backgrounds look good. And then like the more you watch, and it's like, okay, now they're kind of starting to figure out how to write a show properly and how to structure a joke a little better. And, it kind of got on Comedy Central's radar. And
people can still watch The Lounge today, correct?
Yeah. We it's still up. Like I considered taking it down a couple times, and I'm just like, man, I'm just gonna leave it up so that if anyone's out there who kind of wants to see, anyone else who's starting anything really, you don't have to perfect it whenever you're starting. And I tell people that all the time. I think that's a huge thing that people spend too much time doing, is trying to analyze what they're doing and perfect it and make everything perfect and this and that. And it's like, okay, we started. Like as soon as we were good enough to animate and make the pictures move, we started putting content out. And I think that was such a good thing for us to do that, because we were able to learn as we were going, but also get feedback from, the comments section, and, people hitting our DMs on like Instagram and Twitter and stuff like that, talking about it and, telling us their thoughts on it. So that really, we were able to get live feedback from real viewers immediately. And, we went from unwatchable to TV quality content in a matter of a couple years, just from, just start and get things rolling.
And if everybody wants to check out what Trenton's talking about, go to the Comedy Central website and search for The Lounge, right?
Correct. And you can also search, if you search The Lounge on YouTube, or you may need to search The Lounge cartoon, but you can start with the YouTube ones, and you can really see the arc of quality change pretty quick. But yeah, those are still up. We left them up. That way anyone who wants to kind of see the journey can, still check that out and see, even though it's terrible. We don't care.
Well, meeting you, I feel like you're a very Los Angeles type personality, because you've got your hand in many projects at the same time. So you had The Lounge for Comedy Central. You have Riot Comedy, which you can check out on Instagram. It's an animated series. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, you're a coffee entrepreneur.
Yeah, I am a pretty LA person. It's funny. I grew up in a small town of like 1,200 people. And like I always knew, like I wasn't supposed to be there. I need something bigger. I need LA or New York. And
where was this town at?
I grew up in Missouri, a little town called Wellsville. It's about an hour and a half away from St. Louis.
Hold up. I am from Kansas City.
No. Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. Hey, I hear that. I don't miss living there, but I do have a ton of family and friends back there that I love to go visit and stuff. And I do love to go visit. I just, I love doing my day-to-day living in Los Angeles. It's more my speed. It's faster. But yeah, so I do the cartoons. I do stand-up comedy, and I haven't really done much stand-up comedy. I haven't done any since the pandemic started, because places in Los Angeles are just now opening up. And they were doing like the online digital shows for a while, and I didn't really want to do that. I wanted to, I love the live audience. I thrive on that. And so I just been spending a lot of time writing like quality jokes. But yeah, the coffee is something I kind of fell into like on a kind of random, but kind of not.
So this coffee business you're running is not just any coffee, though. What's it made out of?
Yeah, it's made out of roasted date seeds.
Date seed, as in the
yeah, the fruit, like the date fruit. It's kind of like they're kind of like big raisins,
what?
Right? So it's made out of the seed of that.
What made you want to start making coffee from dates?
Oh man, it's kind of a couple things. So let me take it back a little bit. I was 20 years old, and so I'm a junior in college at the time, and I wake up on a Sunday morning one time, and like my right arm is just killing me. It feels like the nerve in it is just like dying. And so I just thought I slept on my arm wrong. I was like, I don't know, probably nothing. I got up and walked it off. And then, I laid back down and it came back. And then like my chest is on fire and it's like hurting. And I'm like, what the hell is going on with me?
And you're just 20 years old at the time.
Yeah, I'm just 20. And I'm like, I was bartending at a restaurant through college and I was trying to figure out like, should I go to work today? I'm like, I don't know. It's like, I was like this close to going to work. You guys are getting audio only, but like I was contemplating going to work and I didn't. I ended up going to the hospital and, I sit in the emergency room in the waiting room for like 2 hours before they admit me. Cause it's like, this dude is like 20 years old. He doesn't even look like anything's wrong with him for real. But then, they admit me and I'm telling them I'm having chest pain and this and that. And then they stick a catheter in my leg and look inside my heart. And they're like, yeah, you're having a heart attack right now. So 20 years old, heart attack, kind of set the coffee thing in motion. I gave up caffeine a few years ago. I was still drinking caffeine for a while, but then it got to the point where it was giving me chest pain. So yeah. And then.
So the caffeine in normal coffee is what prompted you to start making coffee out of dates.
Yeah. So I gave up coffee and I had been looking for like something to replace it with because I love coffee. I love the smell of it. I love the taste of it. The morning ritual, like everything about it is good. Except the chest pain that I get from my heart condition.
Except from possibly dying.
Right, yeah, exactly. If I have like 3 cups of coffee, or even honestly more than 1 cup of coffee, my chest just feels tight. And I'm like, it's not so much tight, it's just, it's a almost inexplicable kind of weird pain. But if you have an inexplicable weird pain, that means something is drastically off.
Yeah.
So
and we don't really question our caffeine dependency here in the US, even though.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
all right, so you brought some date coffee with us. I put a little almond milk in here, little honey. I'm going to give it a try right now.
All right, let's see what you think.
What's the name of the brand?
It's Korma with a K, Korma. So
Korma coffee. Let's try this date coffee.
Yeah, if you search Korma date coffee or go to kormacafe.com, you can check it out.
It's pretty good.
Thank you.
I would have to say it makes a better substitute than decaf.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, I don't do decaf coffee because so many decaf coffees they use a really nasty decaffeinating process. Like, you got to kind of wash the caffeine out of the coffee bean, and to do that, there's a couple different methods. Like, one of them is like a complicated method where they use water, which is fine, but most coffee companies use a simpler method, and that is essentially running solvents over the coffee beans, which solvents are things like that are reminiscent of paint thinners and chemicals like that to draw out substances. And it's like really not good for you. So I try to steer clear of that. And so this is like, I've tried a handful of coffee alternatives and some of them are really good, but I haven't had any that really taste like coffee except for this. This is about the closest that I've come to in anything that I've personally tasted. And so this kind of filled all those things I was looking for. I still get
ticked all the boxes.
Yeah, it tastes like coffee. I get to smell the coffee in the morning still. And it gives me like natural energy that's sustained throughout the day, so I don't really get the jitters and crash. And it's like full of health benefits. It's obviously heart healthy if I'm drinking it. It's great for digestion, your brain health, skin.
So if people want to have this coffee experience without the caffeine, they can go to Korma Coffee. What's the website address?
It's kormacafe.com.
Korma Cafe.
Yeah, or you can go to Korma Coffee. Honestly, I bought a ton of domains to make sure people could get there one way or another. So kormacafe.com will take you there.
Very cool, very cool. On that note, on every episode of Tea with Charles, we take a look at the scalding hot topics of our day. Are you ready to get into it?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
Pour yourself some tea and let's dive into these hot topics.
All right, Trenton, the first item on our docket here is a story from The Guardian in the UK. Petaluma, California becomes the first town in the USA to ban new gas stations. So, full disclosure, I'm a proud owner of an electric vehicle, but I feel this is just a harbinger of things to come as we move away from internal combustion engines. How are you feeling about this?
I love it. I absolutely love it. And I don't own an electric vehicle. I have a SUV. It's just a 4-cylinder, though, not a big gas guzzler. But before that, I had a V8 Mustang. And wow, I love that car. But, I think electric cars are obviously the way to move in the right direction. 5 to 10 years from now, when we have the technology to make more renewable energy at a cheaper cost and this and that, and like that technology is exploding, you don't want to just now be starting on electric cars. Then you want to already have a leg up, because otherwise we're not going to have fully electric cars all over the road in 10 years. It's going to take us 20 years, 25 years. And the way the whole world is on fire right now, we don't have time for that.
We do not have time for it, because I try to stay calm about it, but I feel really passionate about this subject.
Yeah.
And especially because there's a fight a brewing. Because, well, number one, it's becoming part of the culture war in the United States, right? People, are trying to paint electric cars as this liberal snowflake kind of thing. And I'm like, no, you're going to die unless you...
We politicize
your children
everything
will not
in America. It doesn't matter what it is. We turn everything political. It's like...
Your children will not have an Earth if you don't do something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
that's why you got to get rich and move to Mars. That's my plan. I'm just trying to get rich because I'm trying to follow Elon to Mars. And whenever Mars is terraformed and it's awesome, that's where I'm trying to be.
You're trying to get to Mars. That is too funny.
So buy the coffee so I can move to Mars, everybody.
Yeah, everybody get some date coffee so he can go to Mars. But I've noticed, because, the companies that that extract petroleum and sell it as gasoline, they're not about to say, oh, well, let's not make money anymore. They want to keep making money. And even, just the same way that tobacco companies don't mind still killing people with cigarettes.
Right.
And I really feel like a lot of news article, I noticed suddenly in my news feed when I'm reading the news that suddenly there was a lot of anti-EV articles out there. And I'm like, all right, this is some kind of payola. Always. This is some kind of secret society of trying to diss the electric vehicles.
Always. It's always, and almost every news article you read is paid for by someone to push something. And it's sad and it's unfortunate. I saw an article not long ago that said, so I don't know if anyone's kept up with what's going on in the housing market about how these private equity firms and things are using, their big funds of capital to buy homes at exuberant prices, because then they want to rent them. They look at it as an investment instead of, this isn't like a family home. So the prices are going way up. And, I saw an article that said America becoming a nation of renters is a good thing because you have mobility and freedom and this and that. Like, no, it's not. Like, that's ridiculous. You know why Americans we're the richest country in the planet, and people from other countries think that all Americans are rich, is because real estate. Because if you own equity in a home, that allows you to borrow against your home, use your home for different things. I know people that paid for their kids' colleges by, using their home as equity and things like that, or buying whatever it is to buy to help yourself get ahead. Your home is your equity, and that's being stripped away from people. So a renter's nation is literally the very worst thing that could happen to America, pretty much.
Right. Taking the discussion back to electric vehicles, as someone who has yet to buy an EV, what are the things that make you anxious about, because I remember when I bought mine, I'm like, all right, how does this work? Where do I charge it? All that sort of thing. What questions are on your mind?
Honestly, I don't have any questions. I can't wait to get an electric vehicle. I'm trying to save up and get a Tesla.
Yeah.
I'm trying to help and get the electric car. And also, living in California, if you have an electric vehicle, you get to drive in the carpool lane. So that's even more reason to get one.
Exactly.
So I have no questions. I'm ready to get one. I just can't afford a $70,000 car right now.
Well, the lower end Teslas are 30-ish, 30K-ish.
Okay, nice. I'm going to have to look into one of those because I do love the Teslas. And electric cars are super fast.
Mine is pretty good. It does zip around Los Angeles at a very nice pace.
Mm-hmm.
I have faith that this change will come sooner rather than later, because whether we like to admit it or not, the United States is kind of a class-conscious country.
Oh, absolutely.
We're absolutely conscious of class, and at some point, because rich people all want Teslas, gas-powered vehicles are going to start to represent the underclass.
Absolutely.
They are going, because not only does a Tesla mean you have money, it also means you have real estate, because most people charge their electric cars at home.
Mm-hmm.
I am one of those freaks that has a very convenient charging spot near my home, and it's free for a couple hours a day.
Nice.
So I'm not charging it at my home, but if you see somebody driving an electric vehicle like a Tesla, not only do they have money for that vehicle, they also have real estate.
Yeah.
someday in the future, gas stations are just going to be populated by dusty hoopties and, your girlfriend's not going to want to go there because she's like, ooh, gas station, yuck. And
real talk.
That is how electric vehicles will win the war, I do believe. I have faith.
I haven't heard that point brought up, but after hearing it, I couldn't agree with you more.
Like once you switch, you'll be like, ooh, this gasoline's dirty. It stinks. And it's like once your girlfriend gets you on your case for it, ladies, I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you to help save the planet with electric vehicles.
Well, hey, I think there's a lot of people that are hesitant about it too because they love like the sound of an engine and things like this. But those people have never ridden an electric car because when you ride in an electric car, you're like, wow, it's quiet in here. I love this. It's great. And they accelerate faster. Like they have the capabilities of electric cars are like amazing. I don't know why anyone would be against them. It's crazy to me.
In addition to the class point I bring up, people are going to start changing because they'll feel like they're getting left behind. You don't want to have the flip phone when everybody else had the iPhone.
Straight up.
Like if you're still rocking the Razor when the iPhone 5 was coming out, let's be real. That wasn't a lady killer right there. That wasn't a way to talk to people. Or to go back even farther, if we're talking about transportation, you don't want to be the dude with a horse and buggy once the Model T came out.
Right, real talk. I mean, you like if you're driving gas in a handful of years from now, whenever you're talking about all the class, kind of situation helps resolve it. It's like driving a rust bucket right now that's all dented up. Like no one wants to be in that thing. You just look at your car and you're like, ugh. I had to drive a car that was busted up one time because, like this was like a long time ago. My car was parked on the street and someone sideswiped it and I didn't have the money to get it fixed. So I drove it around like that for a long time and it just like killed me every time I had to get into it.
I like this show right here, Charles. Tea with Charles. I like it.
Here in California, we're all talking about the Gavin Newsom recall. So if you're not from California, maybe it's not on your radar as much, but our governor, Gavin Newsom, he was caught having some lavish banquet at a place called French Laundry in San Francisco. It's a very, one of those Michelin-starred restaurants. And I'll be honest, for somebody who was saying everybody should stay home and not spread the coronavirus, it wasn't a good look. Like, it was kind of like, these rules are for you and not for me. And that prompted the Republicans in the state to try to recall Gavin Newsom. They're trying to get rid of him. As we know, California has been a liberal bastion for a long time. We went 64% Democrat in the last election. Do the Republicans have a shot in hell of getting rid of Gavin Newsom?
I don't think they have a shot in hell. And here's why. It's not. So Gavin Newsom, that's a bad look. And another thing that he did during the pandemic was he forced all the wineries to close down in the state, except the wineries that are in Napa Valley. And it's just coincidence maybe that he owns a winery in Napa Valley. So, take that for whatever you want to take it for. But I don't think the Republicans still have a chance. And it's only because they don't have a worthy opponent for Gavin Newsom. Like their leading candidate right now is who? Caitlyn Jenner?
Caitlyn Jenner, or the one who has I actually will take a look at. I see his commercials on. His name is Larry Elder. He's a conservative talk show host. And I see his commercials and I'm like, all right, he's not a complete asshole. Whereas Caitlyn Jenner, I'm just like, why?
Yeah, she doesn't even have a platform to run on. One thing with, what did you say his name was though?
His name is Elder.
Larry Elder. If I'm not mistaken, Larry Elder he wants to abolish the minimum wage. And something like that it's going to leave you left in the dust, especially in a place like California. And so I think he's probably the leading candidate. Caitlyn Jenner is probably number 2. And then number 3, I don't remember her name, but it's a woman. And I'm pretty sure she is a QAnon person. So she's out the window as far as like California goes. It's not going to happen here. So yeah, they just don't have an opponent who can challenge Newsom. Because
if there was ever a time to flip California, this is it.
Absolutely.
California is messed up right now. It's like we got fires, we have homeless on the corners, pitching up tents.
The homeless problem is out of control, and it was already a problem before the pandemic, and since the pandemic, there's literally, I've seen like, within walking distance of where I live, there's been 2 or 3 homeless communities pop up.
Right.
And it's like insane. I don't know what the solution is, how to fix it, But yeah, California's messed up. And also, I'm a big fan of chaos too. So I would love to just shake things up just to see what happens. But these candidates that we have right now, I don't know if any of them are the answer for me.
I've considered it. I'll be honest. I'm very progressive politically, as you can tell from my EV rant. But I do not feel like the Democrats are doing a great job here.
I agree with that.
And there's a lot of little things, like in addition to the wildfires and the homeless and all this other stuff, we are taxed at a higher rate than anywhere else in the United States. Where is that money going?
Oh my God, I was just about to ask the same question. Like, where does it go? I feel like every street I drive on in California is just like the worst street I've ever driven on in my life.
Yeah, and I look at the plans for like LA Metro because I kind of get excited about, we might have mass transit like New York someday.
Yeah.
And it's like, does it really take $20 billion to make 3 miles of subway track? That money is being siphoned off to somewhere.
It's got to be. And you know, the thing is, like, you talk about the Democrats aren't doing a good job, but my thing is like, and it's not even like a Democrat thing. When you look at across all of America, where can you look and be like, this group of people, regardless of political parties, doing a good job?
Yeah.
I mean, I only live in one state, so I'm honestly pretty clueless to how it is living day to day in most states. But, I have friends in other states. I have the news and the TV, and things just kind of seem to be somewhat effed up everywhere. But especially out here, though. And like you said, I don't have any idea where our tax dollars go because the infrastructure here in California is just crumbling. And like LA, it has its nice parts, but literally half of it is like just falling apart.
Like some of the billions of tax dollars that are supposed to be going to the homeless, you look at some of their plans and it's like, all right, well, the homeless can pitch a tit in this parking lot.
Yo.
And I'm like, did that cost $2 billion or whatever? The units for homeless living that cost $100,000 per unit or something like that.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know what the solution is.
It just shows what a dumpster fire the Republican Party is, just that they can't offer just one person. Like, because I personally, I support some things. Like, I would like the government out of finances and stuff like that, because the more money they take in taxes, the more chances for corruption.
100%. Like, I'm always super against all that. And my thing is, I know it's like hot controversy right now, like the billionaires and this and that aren't paying their fair share of taxes. And you're right, they're not. But if you think billionaires and corporations paying more in taxes is going to change a single thing in America, you are quite mistaken, because you can't. So like, it's just like people when they win the lottery. If you take a poor person who's bad with money and give them $100 million, they blow it. And they're back broke soon. Like, our government's the same. You can't give people who are bad with money, you can't give them more money and expect them to learn how to just manage money all of a sudden. They just don't give a damn about nothing. And so it's like, I mean, we can, increase taxes on whoever, but things are going to stay the same.
Yeah. I mean, this was the Republicans' one chance. Like, if they were ever going to flip California, this was the moment.
This was it. They had a great chance with I know a lot of people here who are sick of Newsom and this and that. And I've seen people wearing those Gavin Newsom clown shirts where he's got the red nose on him and the rest of the picture's black and white. And, I've seen quite a few of those around. And if there was ever a chance, this was it. But you got to come with someone better than Caitlyn Jenner and that radio elder, Larry Elder.
You need the Republicans. I have this concept I thought of, just like, I call it a MoPub, modern Republicans, that took the financial conservative angle and paired it with just staying out of our bedrooms.
Yeah.
Like, just being socially a little more up to date, because Californians are never going to go for someone who doesn't support women's, reproductive rights, or who's anti-LGBTQ, or you look at their policies and, morally they're stuck in like the 1950s.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, exactly to your point, that's never going to fly in California. It's just not.
It might fly in Arizona with Meghan McCain, but it's not here.
Yeah, not here. And that's the whole thing, is like, so many people vote, based on not the fiscal aspect of it. They vote based on moral principles, and a lot of time it's just, who would you rather go have a beer with?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to most of the time, is who would you rather go have a beer with? I think that's a big part of why Trump won in 2016, because I don't like the guy, but if someone said you have to go have a beer with Trump or Hill Dog, I'd probably go have a beer with Trump.
Which says a lot about the United States, to be honest. Next hot topic to talk about, we are going to discuss R&B sensation Lizzo, who recently had a breakdown recorded by TMZ. And did you see the video of this?
I haven't. I see Lizzo pop up every now and again though, and so I'm kind of familiar with what's going on. I just haven't watched the video.
All right, everybody, I need you to leave Lizzo alone because Juice is my jam. You know, people are giving her hate online and harassing Lizzo. It's like, leave the woman alone, let her live. And, you know, she says she gets racism and she gets, what she said was fat phobia. And it broke my heart because she was sitting there, she's crying. She says, a lot of people don't like me because of the way I look. You have experience putting out content online. Have you ever received online harassment?
We haven't received any harassment, but I mean, we've had people, you know,
Trolls?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's hey, if you can't handle trolls, stay off the internet. That's what I mean. I've seen some of the things about Lizzo that have been said, and these fools take it way too far. But this is the internet, and I know people that are like, oh, I can't, you know, this person said this and this, and I would tell them, welcome to the internet. This is what it is. The internet is full of a bunch of losers who don't have anything to do except talk smack on people. And, you know, like, and that's the case with Lizzo and a lot of other people, you know, like it's just people that don't have anything to do, who are a bunch of nobodies who talk mess on people like Lizzo, who are succeeding and doing amazing things because they're just haters. And so they find a reason to hate and talk smack, whatever it is, whether it's her weight or the color of her skin, whatever they can find to that they don't think they don't like or whatever it is. And they're just losers, and that's just what it is. And the internet's full of them, and they pretty much live there. That's their permanent home. And so that's what they do, is just be haters and losers and talk mess on people who are succeeding.
Well, the thing is, all of us, you'll make fun of whatever you're watching once in a while.
Always.
But the internet creates a platform for those words to be permanently available.
Right.
And available to the person they're directed at.
Right. And I think the biggest problem with the internet is, you know, I saw a meme one time. It said the internet made a lot of y'all too comfortable with disrespecting people and not getting punched in the face for it. And I think that's the biggest drawback of the internet, is there's no consequences for, you know, being disrespectful to people and, you know, saying the things that some of these people say. And sometimes someone just needs to be punched in the face. Just, you know, I'm not a violent person, but
you'll pop someone in the nose if necessary.
Not really. I don't really care when people don't get to me. I don't even let people bother me at all. Like, I really don't. Like, people can talk mess about me personally, my cartoons, you can sit here and say my coffee sucks. I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me. I don't even feel anything anymore. It doesn't even make me feel an ounce of anything. Like, I just couldn't care less.
All right. Well, I need some of your zen because I do care. I have to pretend I don't care. But what people like, if I get like a bad review of one of my books online or something, it's like there was an episode of this TV show called Black Mirror where everybody is ruled by 5-star ratings.
Okay.
And they're all like terrified because not only are your products and services 5 stars, like you're personally rating people 5 stars. And the plot of the episode of Black Mirror is this poor redhead girl, she kind of goes crazy because she's so obsessed with raising her star rating.
Yeah.
And I start to feel that too, because I'll do voiceovers on different platforms, and I have to worry about if they're going to give me 5 stars or not.
Yeah.
And my books and stuff.
I get that. Yeah, for sure. You know what's funny? Like, whenever people, so at the beginning of it, whenever I was having to deal with this, it was new. It's not new anymore because we've been doing cartoons for so long. But at the beginning, people would leave bad comments or whatever. This ain't funny, miss. This ain't it, bruh. Whatever, they want to say. And sometimes, get kind of disrespectful with this shit talking. But I was always just like, I would just tell myself, what the fuck do they know? They don't know what's funny. What do they know? You're just some loser that sits at home watching cartoons. Try making them.
Yeah.
And then it just got to a point like,
you're not the one with a check from Comedy Central.
Right. So, but yeah, now it doesn't bother me at all. I don't, and I never really took the time to reply to any of that stuff either. But I would just say it in my head, like, what the fuck does this person know? They're just some loser sitting at home doing nothing. Or I would be a smartass and I'd be like, if someone leaves a bad comment, I would always be like, whatever, thanks for the view in the comment. Pump my numbers up, fool. And then they come back and reply again to that. And then it just keeps going and going. So you just get more comments. So whatever it takes, that was kind of how I felt. Like the more comments, the better, even if some of them are bad. So it really didn't bother me.
The Star Prison. That's what we'll call it. The Star Prison. Yeah, I really hope everybody who's listening will go online to your favorite podcast platform and leave. I can't tell you to give me 5 stars, but it'd be really nice.
I can. Everyone go give Tea with Charles a 5-star review and a nice comment.
Yes.
You can talk shit on me in the comment if you want, but be nice to Charles.
I'll buy you a date coffee sometime.
There you go.
Get some date coffee. So Trenton, I had this big disappointment this past week. I have a list of possible places I want to go on my honeymoon someday. Alas, Afghanistan is no longer on this list. Had to cross it off.
Well, I think at this point, I think Afghanistan would probably be better to go to now than it was before, because now you're getting a more authentic country that doesn't have a U.S. presence there, because otherwise it's going to be too Americanized. And then you might as well be in any other place America's occupied around the world. So now you can get the full Afghan experience, and now that's a honeymoon. Nothing will bring two people together like a survival course where there's real stakes where you can really die.
Yeah, Afghanistan. This is a hard one because obviously Afghanistan is the biggest thing in the news this week, but it's hard to put a comedic spin on the Taliban. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, as somebody who kind of comes at everything from a comedy angle, I can't, it's hard to joke about Afghanistan.
I don't know. I think it's easy to joke about anything. I'm the type of person, like if you watch the comedy that me and my brothers do, it's kind of edgy. It's not super edgy. Sometimes it does get that way, but yeah, we think everything is funny, no matter what it is. If your dog died yesterday, is that actually funny? Not at all. It's devastating and it's sad, but there is something funny there if you look for it, always. So we don't think, if your dog got hit by a car, maybe he didn't actually get hit by a car. Maybe he committed suicide because you're a shitty owner. That's funny. Is it actually funny that your dog died? No, it's devastating. But there's always an element of humor there. Like whenever I had a heart attack, I'm in the hospital for almost a week and literally not knowing what the long-term effects or even the short-term effects. I don't even know if I'm going to be alive next week. I'm clueless about everything. And me and my brothers were still making jokes about it, about the heart attack, about dying, about everything, because everything is funny.
That is really fascinating. You're making jokes about your heart attack after you had it.
Yes, while I'm still in the hospital.
While you're still in the hospital, while we're discussing the heart health, what lifestyle changes did you have to make after you had your heart attack?
The crazy thing is I didn't really make any lifestyle changes.
No more.
I was already living healthy.
Really?
I work out 5 to 6 times a week. Yeah, this wasn't like a thing where I was living super unhealthy and then I had a heart attack and had like this revelation and change. This was literally a freak thing, inexplicable. Sometimes random things happen. And I have 2 aneurysms in my LAD. And so they each, clotted up and closed, and that caused 2 separate heart attacks. So the bottom half of my LAD, there's no blood flowing through there.
What's the LAD?
So the LAD is one of the main arteries in your heart. Your heart has 4 sections in it, 4 main sections, and the LAD gives blood to the bottom left quarter of your heart. So there's no blood flowing through there. Typically, that kills you. That's the end of you if your LAD is not working. But luckily, before I had my first heart attack, my heart developed feeder arteries around that to make up for it. So by the time I had a heart attack, I was pretty well safe. And now, a little over a year ago, I saw my cardiologist and we did like every test in the book and everything came back amazing. And he's basically like, you are so lucky. It's like basically a miracle because your heart sustained almost no damage from 2 heart attacks. And when you have a heart attack, whatever damage is done to your heart, that never heals. It never repairs itself. That's how your heart operates the rest of your life. But my heart has completely normal function. And we did like the stress test on the treadmill. We looked at like the 3D images of it in the CT scan. We did an ultrasound. We did everything. And everything came back amazing. And my cardiologist is literally like, I have no worries with you. Live your life. So.
Live your life. So after the heart attack, so you cut out the caffeine and coffee.
Mm-hmm.
Did you cut out Dr. Pepper?
I have never been a soda drinker.
Oh man.
I convinced myself whenever I was young that soda sucks and it tastes bad, and it worked. So I don't drink soda.
Oh, I love soda.
It is pretty good. I'm not a Dr. Pepper though. Honestly, if I'm gonna drink a soda, give me a Sprite. Sprite's super good.
What about stuff like red meat? Do you eat red meat?
I do, but I eat it pretty sparingly. I'm definitely not a vegan, but I do eat mostly vegan. I eat and like you'll never see me eating a Beyond Burger. I don't eat anything with a ton of ingredients in it. I eat mostly like whole natural foods, a ton of fruits and vegetables. But yeah, it's still I'm from the Midwest, man. I'm never gonna stop eating burgers no matter what. Like it's the best food in the world. I don't eat a ton of them, not like I used to, but I keep the pork to a bare minimum. Like I've probably had pork like one time in the last 3 months, and I ate like 2 pieces of bacon, and that was it.
How about eggs?
I love eggs.
Eggs every day?
Nah, not every day. Nah, but eggs are super good for you if you can have them. But it's crazy. Like everyone's bodies are so different. You know, I had this kind of conversation with people all the time because I'm like super diligent about what I eat and do in my workout routine and this and that. And you know, I know people that have done like the keto diet, for example, and lost a ton of weight and got in amazing shape and looked phenomenal. But I also know people who did the keto diet and had no results. I know people who did the keto diet and it damn near made them sick. And you know, so everyone's so different. So you got to kind of just, you know, figure out what works for you and do whatever you think is right and pay attention to your body and listen to it and it'll tell you what it wants.
So how about like exerting yourself? Could you like go do one of those high intensity workouts, go to like CrossFit and stuff?
Oh yeah, no problem.
No problem?
Oh yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Very good. Well, that is impressive. I'm sure it's all due to the date coffee.
It's all the date coffee. The date coffee turned my life around and just turned me into a superhuman with a bad heart.
We gave some date coffee to the engineer too. What do you think? Thumbs up, thumbs down. We're getting a thumbs up from Kayla, the engineer. So
she's probably just being nice.
She is an aficionado. We're here in Hollywood. Why would she lie? Why?
Because she's a woman and women are nicer than men. That's
Okay.
why. That's why.
Well, Trenton, I've had a great time having you here in the Hollywood studio.
Yeah, so I'm sitting here looking at this book that you authored.
Beverly Hills Postmate?
Beverly Hills Postmate. Everyone go check it out. How did you even like make the decision like I'm going to be an author, I'm going to write? How many books do you have out? Like where can I find them?
All right, so I have released 5 books at the moment. I guess I first seriously thought about writing when I was in a writing course my freshman year of college, and the teacher, I remember her name, Karen Sosnowski, professor, said to me, she said, "You have to do something with writing," because she really liked my style of writing, and she thought, even as a freshman in college, that, you know, it was, you know, that I had a talent for it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that I had lived at least an unusual life, just in the sense that it's quite uncommon for someone from Kansas City to go to New York City and then work with a bunch of American celebrities in Japan. So I had been writing down like little, you know, I would make note after note in notebooks over the year. And then at some point I was like, all right, I think I can make this a book. That became my first book, Impossibly Glamorous.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no plans to write more after that book, Impossibly Glamorous, but like I had been jotting down little ideas for 2 years, and it was almost a physical sensation from God. I felt like a bolt of I had like a eureka moment.
Yeah.
But it was almost like a physical sensation that I was like, oh, this is how I tie all those thoughts together. And I remember my computer was broken at the time, and I hand wrote all the chapters that would become my second humorous memoir, which is San Francisco Daddy.
Okay.
And after that, you know, I've done a series of short reads on the gig economy where I'll use like gig work to explore a different thing.
Yeah.
So Beverly Hills Postmate, obviously about Beverly Hills. I did one on DTLA, and there's the first one, Uber Diva, which is about the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay.
And thank you to my readers.
Yeah, nice. I want to say shout out to your teacher who like saw that you had this talent and actually told you to do something with it and pushed you, because there's too many teachers out there who shit on kids' dreams. And like you hear stories about all the time about teachers telling, you know, someone's got a dream like, oh, you're not going to do that. You can't do that, blah, blah, blah. And even like, like me and my brothers, you know, saw that too. Like we, wanted to make cartoons, or even, for a long time, my younger brother wanted to make music, and he literally had a teacher tell him, you'll never do that. You'll never. And he's produced like a ton of beats. He's like did music for a long time before doing the cartoons. And like,
God, that teacher was a bitch.
You know what I mean? And like, it wasn't even just one. It was like a handful. Like they're like, nah, that's not gonna happen. You're not gonna do that. And then it's like, look at us now. Like we live in LA. Like we're not at the like LA level that we want to be, but we're getting there. Like we're on the right track. And like yeah, exactly. Who is? It's like 8 people up there, but. I mean, we're getting there. Like we're on the right path, and like we have, so many things like set in motion that are like getting us there. And it's like, y'all said this wasn't gonna happen. Where y'all at now?
We
like,
started at the bottom, now we here.
You know what I mean? And it's like just because you're at the bottom, don't mean you got to stay there. You can do anything you want to do. Like we didn't. Like I said earlier, we didn't know how to animate. We didn't know how to write properly at all. We didn't know how to do anything. We just decided we were gonna do it and jumped in and made it happen.
I have an excellent question for you, though. What did your parents say when you left your financial planning job and decided to be and showed up at Christmas like, I'm a cartoonist now?
Not that much, because they understood that I didn't like it and I wasn't happy at it. And I told them, what really pushed me to do it was I always look at myself in the future. Like what is future me gonna think about this? Am I gonna wake up when I'm 50 years old? And if I'm still a financial advisor, I know for a fact, if I'm 50 years old and I'm still working as a financial advisor, I'm going to wake up one day and think, damn, I should have just like pursued what I really wanted to do. I could have done it. Like by now, I could have already been where I wanted to be by now and like made all those things happen and done all that cool shit. And I'm okay with trying and failing. And a lot of people aren't. A lot of people get scared at the idea of failing. And I'll risk it all, man.
Risk it all.
I'll risk it all to like make my dreams happen. Like I can always go be a financial advisor anytime I want to. Pretty much, I can always go find a regular, 9 to 5. Like financial advisor is not a 9 to 5 job, but you know what I mean. Like you can always go find a job doing, the regular climb the corporate ladder type of environment. You can do that whenever you want. You can't always drop everything, and especially because I don't have any kids. And so when you don't have kids, then it's really easy to just drop everything, because it's really easy to get by when you only have one mouth to feed.
Indeed. I could live off a jar of peanut butter and one,
you know what I mean?
One loaf of bread for a week.
I can stretch that out for 2 weeks if I have to, if I really have to.
2 weeks, we can definitely do it.
Give me one banana in there and I'm good.
I love it. Well, Trenton, you have been a fantastic guest. Everybody that's listening is going to want to check out your projects online. Where can they watch your animated content?
Yeah, so you can, the best place to find things is Riot Comedy. You can search Riot Comedy, look us up on Instagram. We got a show on there called Real Ballers where we make fun of like the NBA drama news cycle. You can watch The Lounge on Comedy Central's website. There's also a bunch of old episodes on YouTube if you kind of want to see how that learning curve went. And then my Instagram handle is at Trenton Hudson. So that's kind of like the best places to keep up with everything for that.
That's great. You got your real name. Or you got the name you wanted.
No, yeah, I got my real name, and it's crazy. Like I didn't use Instagram for years. I just, whenever Instagram was just starting to get popular, I had a friend reach out to me and she was like, you should get on Instagram. I was like, nah, I'm never going to use that shit. She's like, well, even if you don't, you should get on there and get your own name locked up and get that handle.
Definitely.
I didn't use it for probably 3 years. I probably had the name for at least 2, maybe 3 years before I ever used Instagram.
Because there's another Trenton Hudson out there. And
he's a phony, everybody. If he...
I was like, oh, is this him on IMDb? I'm researching you. And I'm like, wait.
No, he's a phony. He's from New York and he just wishes he was me.
I'm going to get an email from that Trenton Hudson. But when it comes to these handles, get there early, because
that's what I do.
Because on my Twitter, Instagram, and everything, I'm King Charles 0921. TikTok, I waited too long, and now I have to.
I waited too long for TikTok. Some like little 12-year-old kid has it, and I just want to like show up on his doorstep and fight him for the handle.
I'm gonna fight somebody for the handle. My TikTok is now Meerkat LA. So
nice.
Thank you, Trenton. It has been a pleasure having you on here. Everybody go check out Trenton's content online and drink some date coffee.
Drink some date coffee, Corma Cafe.
As for Tea with Charles, you can catch me on social media at KingCharles0921. Like Dolly Parton famously said, it costs a whole lot to look this cheap. So I need you to support the Tea with Charles podcast by getting your copy of my books or find me on Patreon and become the next Tea with Charles Patreon. Thank you for listening to Tea with Charles podcast. See you next time.
Ta-ta for now.